It feels later than it actually is. I don't know if anyone else is feeling that. I'm gonna get X Defiant up, and then while I'm doing that, I'll talk about stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I've been trying to do for a long time to like minimalize having like burnout and like really bad mental. And if you don't know what bad mental means, it just basically means having like a bad mindset about stuff, or having a really like having a lack of ability, I guess. I don't know, I don't want to say think positive, because that, I think it just means that it's like really easy for you to like, specifically with games, like give up on something, or like get super frustrated at everyone else and not know how to look inwards or something. I don't know, I feel like it's hard to describe. It's just something that I've like described it as, is when like if someone's like rage quitting, or if someone's like trash talking in chat or something, like I just always say that they have bad mental, because I feel like if you had good mental, you wouldn't be talking shit in chat. Or like rage quitting, like I feel like rage quitting only makes sense if you are identifying yourself for yourself, not like like openly or something, but like identifying for yourself that the game is literally getting so upsetting to you that you have to step away. And that can happen. I don't think that that's a problem. But like with having bad mental, you kind of like make it really hard for yourself to enjoy stuff. I don't think it's impossible for someone to enjoy something if they have bad mental, but I think you're going to eventually make it impossible to enjoy it. You kind of like, I don't know, I feel like fighting game players are specifically bad about this, and especially fighting game players, and I mean anything competitive can be really bad about this. You don't even have to be competitive for it to happen to you, but I think it happens to people who can be super competitive. It's really hard to like chill out once in a while. Like I feel like it's hard for super competitive people to be like actually chill about stuff. But my experience with that is mostly seeing people who like actively do things that undermine what's meant to help them. Pro players, or people who are like really good at games, stream themselves playing it all the time. You can see when they have like bad moments, more so than if they had just gone to a competition and then it didn't matter, right? Like for a lot of people it can also be entertaining, especially if you rage a lot, but I just don't find enjoyment in being like loud and angry at the same time. I hate that. I think that doesn't help me. And I think with Siege specifically, the reason I'm talking about it is I think with Siege specifically, when you're talking about having like a good time and you're like, I just can't enjoy this game anymore, I don't like the changes, I don't like what they're doing to the game, or like I just don't like who I'm facing, like the matchmaking sucks. It's kind of like you just have to kind of like keep like looking at it in a way that like helps you specifically keep going. And I don't want this to be a sort of like, oh, well, you should force yourself to keep playing. If you can identify for yourself, even if it's eventually after a couple of games where you're just like, this game makes me toxic, or this game makes me hate myself or everything, and like in a non-ironic way, then you're kind of gonna have to be like, then you should just quit. You should just leave the game. Doesn't matter who, like what your friends, like how many of your friends still play. And like if you generally just don't enjoy it anymore, and it's not because you're like unable to look into something, then like you should just genuinely quit. Like, and not like a parentheses toxic mad kind of way, just like genuinely like you should step away from the game. And if you're not enjoying it anymore, then like just stop trying. Because like the more you try to force yourself to enjoy something, the more you're just going to be like, if you already know that you're not going to enjoy it, right, then you're going to be like, well, is it worth it? Is it really worth doing? I don't feel like it's worth doing personally, because like if a game is too hard, or like I'm not getting enjoyment out of the challenge that it's giving me, then I'm like, why am I going to keep playing this? Alien Isolation is a perfect example. I might have had bad mental about it, but at the same time, I genuinely would have been like, well, I just didn't enjoy it. I got spawn camped by the monster over and over again, and the only way to fix it was to go back to a save like 2 hours ago. I'm not doing that. I'm just quitting the game. I'm sure Alien Isolation is a fantastic game if people interact with it in the right way, but I don't like the fact that it has to be a right way. You know what I mean? Burnout is something that always hits, but usually it is not about games, it's about editing and streaming. I do know I had to step back from PvP a few years back because of how it was affecting me and the people around me. Yeah, I think that's something that like is a fantastic way to prove that someone would have good mental. Like you can always regress into having bad mental again. But at the same time, if you understand that like the environment that's being created between you and your friends and how angry someone or multiple people are getting, or like the moods are shifting a bunch, then like, yeah, it's not great. Like the only reason I still play Siege is because I think I can find fun in it, and because it's like the only FPS game I have. I don't think I could get into Hunt the same way I did Siege. Like there's not a whole lot of, it's not the same type of quickness for me, but I do love Hunt. Like Hunt Showdown's really fun. I used to like Apex. X Defiance, decently fun. It's still got problems, but like I'm trying to be better about not going immediately like, well, okay, this game just doesn't seem fun, or like this game has problems, so I'm just not going to play it. Like I've played a lot of not great games. Cyberpunk was not great, but I still loved it. Like I still loved playing through it because it was my own experience and it was really fun. But like different from bad mental, I think Burnout is something that hits when you least expect it. I think there are really easy ways to get away from hitting burnout in like competitive FPS games or multiplayer games, but it's also really easy to just like not hit the point where you can be like, okay, well, I'll take a break and then I'll, you know, it'll be like, I'll take a break and then I'll come back to it like later or something. Like for me, for Siege, I've quit a couple of times. I've never uninstalled it, but I've quit a couple times. And it's never because I said I wanted to quit. It's because I quit when I didn't have a party to play with more often than not, and it kind of just became its own thing where I kind of just had to play and do my own thing and learn. And it helps because I'm kind of the opposite of what a lot of content creators say. Like a lot of the larger content creators often, I think they downplay a lot of changes, and I think they start discourse that kind of doesn't make sense, or they start discourse without explaining themselves, and then they expect it to kind of be like, oh yeah, I heard the streamer say this and I agree with it, you know? Like it's a lot easier to just be like, well, I heard Macy J say this, so I would believe it if it's true because Macy J plays in a higher category than I do. And it's like, okay, but you know, you're forgetting the part where if Macy J plays in freaking champs and you're playing in silver or like plat, brother, that doesn't apply to you. If you play casual, it doesn't always apply to you, you know? But I think that's why Burnout can be bad too. I think competitive games kind of force burnout because they're like you have to think about it, like as a consumer, you have to be there all the time. You have to like be there for the seasons to try the new character and all the new stuff. And then you have to like understand how everything new works. And then you have to like constantly be there for every update, like I said. And then you also just have to like, if you play ranked, you're constantly striving to do better. You're constantly pushing yourself to do more and more, and you're learning more. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think it can really easily lead to burnout when you're like playing a bunch of live service games and they're competitive, and you have to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to play the meta all the time. Or like whether or not you play meta, you have to be like, I have to learn the game, and then I have to learn the operators and the characters and the strats and the guns. I don't know how I did it a couple of years ago where I was playing like 5 or 6 different live service competitive shooters. There, jeez. Like I played Apex and learned how to play Apex characters in the way that I enjoyed them, that made ranked fun. I played Siege for forever. I played Overwatch. I played Hunt. I played Valorant. I played CSGO and then CS2. It's a lot. You don't really, it's just wild. Tried Hunt and didn't find anybody. It was kind of boring to me, but I only tried once, so I'm unsure how else it would be if I tried again. I think that's common. I think it's like Siege. I think a lot of people don't talk about these experiences. And obviously, yes, experiences are different, but I think if you told a new player, hey, we're just gonna go run to where the shooting is, and we'll find people and we're just gonna go around the map and kill people, like, yeah, that's cool, but then their experience is like finding everybody all the time. And then their only method of going and doing things, I feel like, would be going and finding gunshots, and like you don't know if they enjoy that or not. And if they do, that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to say like baby players or something. I think people can make their own decisions, and if they don't want to, they don't want to. Or if they're like there to figure it out, then that's fine. But I think you can really easily overwhelm players by pretending that the solution for not finding anybody is to just always be aggressive. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think that's like the solution all the time. But the people that I know, Like the hunt people that I've played with, the contrast is always one person always ran to the most popular spots and we always fought, and then straight to the bounty. And then the other person was like, okay, well, we're just gonna go around the map getting clues, and then we'll go to the bounty, and then if we fight, we fight. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, just like in Siege, when I complain about how people play Ashe or Yin or something, like, it's not necessarily wrong, it's just funny. You know, if someone made fun of how I was playing Brava, like, if someone saw I was playing Brava and complained that I was on drone the whole time, like, yeah. First of all, that's what I'm literally supposed to do on Brava. I need to find shit to hack. But also, like, yeah, as a Brava main, I am on my drone. A lot. Rich quitting at a game I only did once with BBD. Burnout for me, I think, is mostly phone games. Phone games are so easy to burn out on. I don't know what it is with them for me. Like, I kind of wish they were on PC more. Which is weird, because yes, I know they're phone games and they're mobile games and stuff, but I lose attention when I have to, like, look at my phone for more than a little bit. Unless the gameplay is so interesting to me that I really like it. You know what I mean? Girls Frontline was one of those games, but it's not, like, perfect. It just seems, I don't know. It just seems weird. I can't retain myself with phone games, and I have to be very selective about it. Like, Dynasty Warriors released something? Dynasty Warriors released a phone game, and it was really fun, but, like, if I really want to play a Dynasty Warriors game, I could just play it on PC. I don't have to play a mobile game. Even though I step away from PvP, there was one game that I didn't go away from, which was Smite and Overwatch. I feel like Smite's really easy to get in and out of, though. I don't think it means, like, because the mode you play is a lot less, I don't know, it's not that it's not competitive or, like, as balanced or anything. I feel like it's pretty well balanced. But with Arena, I feel like that's just like a completely different experience than playing like the typical 3-lane 5v5 or something, which is like not to say like that's not bad or anything. I just think that's one of those things where you're just kind of like, well, I play Arena and it's like super casual, and like when, like, for some people, you just need to find the casual game mode. Right? MOBAs don't have, in my opinion, they don't have a casual game mode typically, and I think that that's not helped by people taking the game really seriously no matter what you do. When you play the typical, like the typical MOBA mode, which is like a 3-lane thing, and people get upset and they get super serious even if it's not ranked, then it's like, you know, like people get super serious about it. And they think that any mistake is like gonna cost them their freaking, it's gonna cost them their rep or something, like their RP. It's super weird. But I think, you know, even with MOBAs, I used to be a huge Dota fan. I used to love MOBAs. MOBAs were like my favorite thing next to shooters. I put a lot of time into Dota to learn how to play Dota, and then I just dropped off because, like, meh, I don't know. I think that was when I started to learn I had really bad, like, I like a lot of issues. The only thing of Dota I like is the song. It's the worst part, it's not even an official song. The Dota community alone can make you hate the game. I just, see, I feel like I get flack sometimes for it. I mean, I get teased a lot, which is like not really an issue, I get it. It's kind of funny, but I always, every single multiplayer game I play now, I turn off chat. I turn off all chat, I turn off voice, both for me and for everybody else, and I turn off team chat. And it's because I don't want, like, you can call me like thin-skinned or something, like whatever, I get that, but also, like, if sitting in front of a video game, letting people talk shit to you constantly and say like insane things about either you or how you play or whatever is like fun to you, then like whatever, that's fine. Especially if you're really good at like sassing back or whatever, then who cares? But for me, I'd rather put all of my brain into just playing the game. Like, I don't want to bother dealing with everybody else talking shit. If I wanted that, you just post gameplay to Reddit. Like, it's like, let people criticize your gameplay if you care that much. But I don't know. Yeah, I've never been into any MOBA. I've moved a little bit. I tried Battleborn. That was really fun. Overwatch is like a MOBA shooter, technically. It's really, well, I mean, it's really just a hero shooter. It's not really a MOBA. Dota, one of my favorites. I tried Smite a little bit, but I never had anyone to play it with until a little while in. Heroes of the Storm was my favorite. Heroes of the Storm was so good. I loved it. I'd rather not sit there and click all over the place. If I wanted to click so much, I'd just go back to tap type. True idle clicker games. My favorite. Never got into hero shooters either. It's just different, I think. it depends on how they make it too. If it's like COD or X Defiant, you really have to enjoy the arcade shooter aspects, I think. I don't think you can really get into a hero shooter more often than not if you don't like the arcadey, like movement shooting stuff. Overwatch is an exception, I think. I don't think, well, I mean, Overwatch I guess could be an arcade shooter, but it's just weird. It's just different. I was into shooters since I was young. Yeah, pretty much same. I was also into RTS games. RTS games are really fun to me. I don't care if I play against just bots. They're so fun. That's like, I still get kind of frustrated at stuff. Like, it's pretty obvious when I do, I feel like. But I also try to like, I also grew up jokingly being frustrated at stuff, so I kind of suck at balancing stuff. So it's hard to tell when I'm joking and I'm not. I feel like, maybe not, but I used to hate Souls games. Like, I played Bloodborne and I played Dark Souls 2 before, and they were just not fun to me. I freaking hated them so much. I didn't get past any of the areas. I love Guns so much. Guns was really good. I never got into Guns in any kind of like complicated way or like complex way, I guess. I just played Guns. I just really enjoyed it. I just like dodging all over the place. It seemed really cool. I mean, it seemed really cool and it felt really cool. It was really nice. All things considered, I think it's really easy to like burn out with certain games. I think it's really fun to like go back and discover older games though, but not in the like, damn, older games were just better than today's games kind of way, but just like, I guess it also just depends on what's like actually worth playing again. I really want to play Combat Arms again. I want to see what that's like now. It's probably not great. It's probably full of hackers, honestly. Guns, I've already started playing again, but I don't really play it anymore. Like, I only really liked it for the PvE when I started replaying it. The PvP is cool, but I'm like, meh. AVA, I think, is just dead. I don't think you can play it anymore. I found a fan server for S4 League, and that's super exciting. That seems really fun. I should look up, like, maybe if there's like a repository of like fan projects keeping old games alive or something. That'd be really cool. Actually, like servers and stuff. It matters what game it is. I haven't bought a new AAA game since like Cyberpunk. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I think I bought a couple. I refused to get the new COD. And then, in some fairness, I was gifted the new COD, and I still don't really like it. So, Morini in chat. I should specify, it's not that I don't like it, it's that it's just kind of like there, I guess. It's... The zombies is fun, for sure, but like the campaign seemed really disappointing, so I never played it, which is partially the whole reason I wanted to get it. Or which is partially the whole reason I get COD normally. I don't really like buy it just for the multiplayer. Not normally, anyway. I think that's another reason people can burn out pretty easily when stuff like just doesn't work. I don't know. It's really weird because I feel like people have like insane expectations sometimes, but it depends on what it is. Like I guess I don't know. I feel like it just super depends. Most of it is usually like kind of like the anti-cheat thing. I feel like a lot of people are starting to hound game companies about like quote unquote good anti-cheat, but then every time they're like, oh well, when you're like, oh, what's a good anti-cheat then? They're like, oh, Vanguard from Valorant, and it's like, not really. No. The biggest thing is perception though, right? If Ubisoft could make, if Riot can make it seem like Vanguard can be perceived in a way that makes it super successful constantly, and basically run the narrative that like Vanguard can do what others can't because of how it works, then like you could do a lot. You can sell that as like an anti-cheat. And that's the weird thing. I feel like people in their perception kind of make that weird, where it's like, I know I said this in one of the servers that I was in with Sniper, was like, it's because people who play Valorant and don't experience it themselves believe cheaters don't exist, right? Which makes sense. But then you have people coming in saying, oh, but the pros are saying that they do exist and there's a problem. And you're like, well, the person saying that obviously does not play at a high rank to have that problem. They're just getting it from someone else. And then the other person who doesn't ever experience cheaters, or so they think, right? Because there's no kill cam in the game and other stuff. You get to a point where you're like, they're gonna say it's a skill issue, or like the person's just upset or whatever. And the other person's gonna be like, well, no, we've literally seen it. Even though they themselves haven't, but like maybe streamers have. People get banned. People get kicked out of ranked games for a cheater being banned in their lobby. So like, that's not weird. Obviously there's still cheaters in the game, but like, it's not to say that BattlEye is great either. We literally faced the same cheater 4 times, and then we faced a new cheater, and then we faced a different cheater in the beginning when I wasn't live. So like, it's bad. BattlEye sucks. And yet, like, it just, what else do you, like, what else can you expect, really, you know? But overall, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's always interesting to think about, like, how, like, there are so many things that could help people with bad mental specifically, like, definitely improving and finding the fun again is what matters. That's always what matters. I think I hit all my points pretty easily. I always enjoy talking about that stuff. I always want to bring some sort of amount of topics to the table. It's actually not that bad. I only did this for, what, like an hour and a half? Not bad.